Hi, and welcome to MJ Sanding. I'll be your host today, Jessica. Join me as we sand areas such as this, and this. Winter is definitely coming, and I am bundled up in all the layers because we have spent the season working on the exterior of the boat here. Back in April, May, I was so excited that we're going to start working on interior things, installation, plumbing, electrical, things like that. But with the weather that's nice outside, we had to work on all the things, which was mostly seams, like where the deck came up to meet the hull. I've been working on the hatches, and behind me, Matt has been working on the helm and other areas. And through this process, because we are always sanding, I don't know how many times you have seen us do it in the past, we didn't really film any projects start to finish. I would get little clips here and there, meaning just to kind of like catch moments that I would throw into episodes, and it turns out that they never really went in there. So what you're going to get today is kind of a compilation of little bits that we had filmed that never fit into anything else, but now we haven't really done anything else except for just work on things outside. So instead of a step-by-step process this week, you're just going to kind of get a narration of things that have led up to these projects, past things that we've done, where we're at with them now, and still finishing up because the weather is getting colder day by day, and we should hopefully be moving inside soon to start those installations as early as next month.
With our helm station, although we do have our hand-built seat halfway in place, we're waiting to install our anodized beams and fix the cabin top height before bonding the bottom. We need to enclose the area. With us being the first hull, our mold follows the original renders with the helm seat set halfway back in the cockpit. One thing we had to consider with this position, how much weight was near the aft end of the boat. Since each winch is about 40 pounds, and then you add the weight of controllers, a seat, and 1 to 2 people there, that's a lot of extra mass in one small area. What we've decided to do is move the helm as close as we can to bulkhead 6, which Max Cruise is also incorporating in their newer builds, pushing all that heftiness closer to the center of the ship. With that in the works, though, we now need to close the gap from the original mold in the cabin top to keep ourselves protected from the elements. Taking the section of cabin top that had been cut away when we originally moved the helm forward, Matt used a tube of our methacrylate to rebond it just a little further aft this time. Having traced the line of our port side cabin top onto builder's paper, Matt cut the shape to template on starboard, so now that we have the aft piece bonded on, we could get the curve to match on both sides. Then, moving on to the helm station itself, we needed a spot for our electronics to sit. The hybrid controller and Yanmar engine controller we received from Hybrid Marine. Because many of the newer and sleeker boats have them inset to make the face flush, Matt decided he wanted that look for our boat as well. Cutting and routing pieces of MDF, he made a plug, which then needed to be sanded and faired with precision. Once that had been brought to a perfect finish, it was covered in our Alex Seal primer and paint. The fiberglass will go directly on top of this paint so that when it pops off, we already have our finished surface. We didn't happen to get the glassing on camera, but once Matt was done, he cut the appropriate holes into our helm station to fit the new inserts. They were bonded into place initially with just our structural putty, giving it a nice hold before it could be glassed in. In addition to the hybrid control inserts, we also added the hub spacer for our steering wheel. Once we had the wheel in hand from Goyo, we were able to determine what clearance was needed around the rim for our hands to comfortably turn without hitting anything. Our biggest goal in this area is to make it easy to sail, meaning we have the best access to our winches and clutches. Our objective is to have all of these items easy to reach while standing at the wheel, and not having to lean too far over it or place pressure from our body on the wheel itself. It will be quite a while before we can use it in practice, but every decision we make right now is to lead us to the best performance and handling of our home-built catamaran once we're on the water. Continuing the story of things we haven't worked on in ages, it was time for me to give my attention to the flush hatches. This is another case where Matt had made MDF plugs, glass molds on top of them, and then inserted those into our deck. This is not done by the factory, so the home builders can make the decision for themselves of what kind of hatches they would like and where they want them placed. While we were in the tent, there was no issue of having them open, and even gave us a little extra natural light while working below deck. But the move out into the open forced us to permanently cover them to keep out the rain and cold. After an initial and very quick prime of the surrounding deck area and epoxy boards that were drilled in, we covered everything in Dr. Shrink and tape and have let it sit for the past year to be abused by the elements. The first priming was very rough and only done to give a grippy surface for the Dr. Shrink tape to stick to. And looking at the very sticky mess this tape residue has left behind, I'm quite happy I didn't put in the initial effort. A few of the hatches only needed a scuff sand of the Alex Steel Superbuild paint, where it was then coated with our blue Dykem dye and sanded once more to find the low spots. This lets me know exactly where I need to fill, and apparently, I have a lot of work ahead of me. Let's start with the starboard midship from scratch and see what kind of work it takes to get me there. Starting with just a small hand block with 80 grit sandpaper, I smoothed down the large bumps from the high nap roller I used here. Getting to the inner edges, I run into tape residue which immediately gunks up my sandpaper, forcing me to scrape it off first before I can sand. Getting the area generally smooth but not flat, I wipe it down with our blue Dykem and denatured alcohol, coating all the surfaces that had been primed. Once again with 80 grit sandpaper, I smooth down the surface, cutting through the primer until I begin to see the fiberglass underneath. Giving everything a final wipe down, I can see this is another area that will need a lot of fairing. Where our Dagger board cases meet the deck, we had just slapped on a few rows of Dr. Shrink tape, and it looks like those were fighting for their life to stick to the deck. I figured I could just muscle through it with a power sander, but the paper would become gunked up and unusable in only 1 to 2 minutes. From then on, it was a combination of sanding and scraping, trying to remove all the tackiness from the surface. Then it came time to fill. I knew there were too many areas just to spot treat, so using our very creamy and easy to smooth on Alex Seal 303 fine filler, I pretty much coated the entirety of the surface, letting it fill in the gaps as I scraped smooth the excess from the flatter areas. Then, it was time to let it all dry overnight before I could take our power sander to it the next day. This is a project that has gotten my attention on and off over the past few weeks, working on it for small bits in the midst of other sanding projects. Matt has done multiple coats of sanding and fairing to the Dagger board case, and now everything was good enough for its next coat of primer. I should mention that the only surface that will actually be seen on deck is a 1.5-inch border around the hatches as well as the side of each deck. So yeah, I may have gone a little overboard in trying to clean up the entire area, but since we're debating between an EVA foam and painted non-skid, I would still like to have a relatively smooth surface under our feet. Since I had the primer out, I also coated the seam of the underside of the bridge deck, something Matt had fared on and off this summer. And although it should be getting old by now, I still love the feeling of coating these areas in a white primer and gazing upon a finished surface, which now appears closer to one molded piece versus separate pieces. It's time for some priming.
Man, I wish this ladder had one of those like paint tray thingies.
Yeah.
first painting, priming of the bows after working on them for a few weeks now.
So this is not the final one, but what we really need to do is this isn't UV resistant, so I need to get something to cover it. And with all the different colors that are going here, it's hard for me to really see for sure exactly what's going on. So we're gonna get some primer on it, and then I'll be able to come back and spot fair, hopefully just a few spots, but I think we'll call it 90% there.
After all the work of getting the bows aligned and bonded in this spring, it feels good to finally see them take shape. For months, this area has been a patchwork of filler and glass, so this first coat of primer finally starts to make it feel like one solid structure. The primer we're using here is a high-build epoxy primer. It will fill in minor imperfections and give us a clean surface for the next round of fairing and sanding. This stage isn't about perfection yet, just building a strong, even base. Every coat brings the boat a little closer to looking finished. It's satisfying to watch something that's taken so many hours of sanding and shaping finally turn uniform. Once this cures, we'll start sanding it back to reveal any low spots. Then it's on to another round of filler and fairing before the final primer. It's slow progress, but it's progress that really shows.
Japan.